JP, you're the man. You go with your mad self.
Yeah, JP's sweating back here. Oh, how nice. Chuck just woke up. Good morning, Chuck. That would be Stan the man, the comedian in the background giving production tips.
Good morning to Stan the man, the comedian, the owner of the one and only Cleo the Pug. Oh my goodness. Whew.
Live from Venture Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Well, there you have it.
Okay.
buddy.
Whew. So we're going to get right into Dr. Good. And good morning to you, the crew. And I got to give JP some props this morning. But I need to tell you about his toenails, but that'll be later on the show after Dr. Good has gone on her
Dr.
busy
Good's
way.
like, no toenails.
No toenail story right now. That'll be afterwards, Dr. Good. You'll want to know this. My goodness. So studio was in a bit of disarray this morning, and JP is running the board and on the show today. And
being technical.
So, hey, yeah, I know.
How did that happen? Oh, thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Because where's the applause button? Give it to yourself.
Oh, give it to
I'm
me.
demanding you to give it to yourself.
Oh, someone's calling. Oh, Dr. Charles Nix is calling. We can't answer that call.
Dr. Charles Nix will get to you at 9:01, 9:05 maybe. We've got Lathan Watts from First Liberty coming in, and he will be talking with us about what the process is, what will be happening today in D.C. We have dun 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 the child Grogu. We will be doing an unbox. This is our first unboxing on the show
Unboxing.
of Baby Yoda that
but,
Santa brought me for
you know,
Christmas.
My dad's got an opinion on that, though. So when we get to that, I think I'm
I can't wait to put Stan the man on. For
we're
that.
going to. I don't know.
They're literally, my kids were telling me, they're like, Mom, y'all got to do stuff like that on your show. There are people who have YouTube channels just for, it's called Unbox Therapy. And people have 1 and 2 million followers, between 1 and 2 million followers. I'm like, I can open stuff up.
I can open stuff up.
Come
Well,
on.
Stan the man's he's got an opinion on that, so I don't know.
And we love Dr. Good of the Ask Dr. Be Good show. Thank goodness she was our expert on this morning, because I think she thinks that JP and I are a comedy of errors half the time with this. So we're very appreciative of her and very glad she's on this morning.
Thank you, guys. So this morning I bring you something old and make it something new. Now, when I say that I want to talk about New Year's resolutions, some of you are going to roll your eyes. But here's what I would challenge you to open your minds about New Year resolutions. And that is, they work if you allow them to work, just like anything. And so I'm going to challenge parents and grandparents, because I know we have both on in your audience, to have just a couple of goals, and actually it's 3 goals, but the first goal is around academics with your child, and the second one is around wellness. And the wellness one is where we sneak in a couple of goals, one physical and one sort of mental, having to do with character traits. Okay, so let's talk about that. First of all, you know that I'm a great proponent for getting involved with conversations with your kids, right?
Amen.
One of the things that our parents, some of our parents, don't do enough of is to get into conversations with their own children that provoke deep thought. Most of the conversations parents have, especially pre-COVID, I've got to say, when we were just going to the next thing, right? The next ball game, the next chess thing, the next academic thing, the next sports thing. And so what the talk was involved is, do you have whatever in uniform you need? Do you have your snacks? Do you have your water? And it's not, have you done your homework, right? But it wasn't profound talk to where we get to know our kids and what they're thinking and how we need to mold that thinking in a different direction. And I don't want to sound brainwashy there, but that's a parent's job, is to make sure that we raise our kids to be, strong, career-minded, tax-paying citizens, right? Well, they don't do that alone. They can't do that without adults supervision, so to speak, right?
Right.
And so one of the ways that you can do that and cause profound conversation between you and your child is to enter into something as simple as New Year's resolution. Why would we do that? Well, because that's a normal thing to do at this time of year. But taking it to the level of actually sitting down with your child and saying, hey, I want to challenge us as a family. I want to challenge me, myself, as your parent, and you as my child, to come up with some doable SMART goals, SMART, measurable, and specific goals around just a couple of important areas. One is wellness, and I'm a huge advocate for wellness.
Absolutely.
Because we have sort of fallen off the wellness wagon.
We have, and I like Dr. Good. You never mention wellness without mentioning two components: the physical and the mental. They go hand in hand and are both equally as important. And I love that you always. I mean, that's how you started the show off today, and that's huge.
And so, and the other huge thing that I'm known for, I think, is making conversation with your kids around important things, right? And so having an academic goal is no brainer, right? That's if our kids are in school and we want to challenge them to get to the next level. If they're B students, maybe we can say, hey, what's how we're gonna, which content areas are we going to work on trying to get an A, right?
Right.
See what I've done? I've made it very specific. I haven't said we're going to get A's on our report cards if our child is a BC student, right? But what we can say is which content areas do we think that we can manage getting an A, a 9 weeks or 6 weeks or 2. And so that makes us look at data, right? It makes us look at our child's report card. It makes us look at attendance issues. It makes us look at other issues that may be impacting our child's academics, and getting them involved. And I would even get the teacher involved. If I've got a struggling B student, and maybe our child is learning disabled through no fault of his or her own, but has a learning disability, and we struggles to get C's and B's, and we know they're doing pretty good work, but we know maybe that we can push them to a level of getting an A in social studies this time, right?
Right.
Or an A in reading. So it's just always keeping them moving forward and with a little bit more effort to reach a goal. And so that would be the academic side. And then the wellness side is, especially now with COVID, keeping them as much off their devices as possible. But
Boy,
I wouldn't
which is tough when schools require. I mean, my son's still 3 days remote, 2 days in class, and when he's in class, he's still on a device a large majority of the time. That's tough.
And so that's why I would say our goals are going to say, how can we get you more physical? Because we know that you already are on a device. Let's say, how can we balance that? What's our New Year's goal? Not only for you yourself as a child in this family, but then as a family. Maybe have a family goal that we're going to walk a certain amount of steps, that we have our Fitbit or whatever we use to monitor steps.
Right.
And so that we do that. And then we also have that mental, how are we going to show more empathy this year? Or how are we going to show more mindfulness or enter into more mindfulness activities? Do we need to get one of those free apps? But with the understanding that we may have to convince our child, especially around the mindfulness activities, that those are equally important to the physical. But our job as parents sometimes is to teach those tough things, right? And to model those tough things. So the parent is going to have to get a little bit better maybe about reaching some of those physical goals, and maybe being more mindful when it comes to those activities.
Well,
and saying,
and I guess modeling it too, it as well.
Yeah.
But here's the truth of it, right? I mean, let's be honest here. It always has and always will come down to how you monitor your home. You have to be in charge of your household, not your children. Yesterday, I dealt with a 13-year-old who controls the house. Mom and dad are divorced. Dad's claim was, well, I sat with him. I watched him get online virtually and do school. And I know he did it. Well, that's funny. We've pulled the footprint because we have everything recorded.
Right.
Your IP address never came on. You never hit the system. You never logged in. Your son was on YouTube watching television or playing video games while you were sitting there probably looking at your phone. And so at some point, parents are going to have to take control of their home and their electronic devices. When Katerina was growing up, her cell phone was innocuous to her. She'd rather pick up a book because we didn't lay a lot of emphasis on electronic devices.
Well, and so you're right about that. And I think I'm known for that too. The structure in the home is key to producing those career tax-paying citizens that we talk about needing, right? And so COVID has forced that conversation a little bit more. I've been talking about family structure, since April, because we had to have parents involved in making sure the kids got up. They put on a school, either uniform or school
appropriate dress and not their pajamas or a tank top or some guys with no shirt on at all. I remember when you first started talking about that. I still remember that in April. I'm like, wait, what? Kids are getting online and you know, I mean, you can tell they literally rolled out of bed, and what you wear to bed is not it's inappropriate to wear. You wouldn't wear it to school. You know, you would get sent home. I remember that conversation.
Yes, this is all about family structure and all about making sure that we use the tools. Because, so sometimes our parents don't know what to do, but if they listen to the show, they listen to your show, they listen to my show,
right?
That they actually implement the tools that we give them on a trial basis, right? You don't even have to buy into it all the way. Just what we ask is that you try it and you give it 6 weeks of trying it, and what that looks like for the goal setting would be maybe every weekend during one of our family meals, whether it's the Sunday meal before the start of the next week or Saturday, however you want to structure it. But we sit down and say, let's revisit our goals. Before we leave the table, right, let's revisit where we are in our academic goals, which may be a little bit more complicated than being able to talk about it at the table. And the reason I say that is because in my perfect world, parents are sitting down every weekend with their child with the computer open at the grades portal, right?
Yes.
Every district now has that. And so you're opening up your district's platform where it shows what the grades are, what's missing assignments, all of that, possibly conversations or notes that the teacher has left, and having a conversation with our child about the week's work. Hey, because we're looking for reasons to celebrate, right? And so we want to celebrate the fact that I don't see any missing assignments. I see your grades are pretty good here. Talk to me a little bit about what the learning piece was in our project or our unit. And so, again, conversation, because those conversations about content may lead to the parent and the child having more conversation at a deeper level about that content. It may trigger something in the parent that says, you know what, I remember learning about that, and that's really changed since I learned it 30 years ago or 20 years ago, however long it's been.
Right.
And again, those profound conversations between parent and children that have been missing in many households for a while now, because we've overlaid family conversations with sports and other activities that society has said our child needs to be in.
It's almost like you've got a chance for very substantive, very meaningful conversations that truly can impact your child's success, you know, when they're a parent and they're 40 years old, that you may do something that they remember, kind of a thing. You know, that's kind of what I hear you saying.
Yeah, I mean, I know that our kids would be pretty interested if our parents started saying something about, you know, you learned this math, and this is a viable thing now. Kids are being taught a new math and how to do division, for example, and multiplication in ways that you and I would not recognize.
Oh, I had trouble with math back in the day. I know I would have trouble now.
Well, and, you know, we've got some comments coming in. You know, Fred says goal setting should be done by setting small obtainable goals first. This way you have success and you can build on that towards hitting bigger goals. And then Michelle said,
and he's a life coach. I mean,
he's a life coach.
Yeah, Fred's actually going to be
retired
on the
police
show here
officer,
pretty
and-
quick. So this is something he does for a living, right?
And then Michelle said day 2 for Kayla at a new school in a classroom, no online school.
Oh, and I know. I'm
You
sure
know,
Kayla's pretty happy she's back at the school.
And I want to shift our conversation a little bit, Dr. Good. I don't know if you are at a point where we can probably shift and I can bring us to current second semester kind of stuff and talk about boots on the ground right now. It seems like everybody went out for the holidays. I can tell you that when I went out shopping, it was like nobody's other. I mean, it was long lines, people everywhere, some wearing masks, some not wearing masks. What impact has the holiday season had on students and teachers coming back to campus?
Well, speaking from a personal standpoint, we already knew that we could not have regular school starting this week because we had 7 staff members tell us that they had COVID or had been exposed to COVID just in one location. And so that's 70 kids impacted. That's 7 classrooms right there. And so and then we sent out a survey the second week of break and said, okay, parents, we know that Dallas County numbers are off the chart. How comfortable are you sending your kids to school? It went, I got, within 3 days, I got over 500 responses, which is the best I've ever had. So people are really interested in this topic. And only 15% of parents were interested in bringing their kids back because they're so spooked by the COVID numbers. Now, and even Collin County folks, even those numbers are on their way up. And so it's not just a Dallas County thing.
Staff and students at my son's school. I'm trying to think how many emails I got. I got several emails yesterday. And this was with the kids just having gone back to school yesterday. So, like it or not, they're real. It's real.
Yeah, and so here's what I would say that some districts are doing, including us. We opened our doors and we said, we're open. Are you coming? That was not, we're closed. It was, we're open. Are you coming? And only 15% of parents said yes. And even less showed up yesterday. We had in one building that holds 400, we had 30 kids, K-12. And in our K-12 Mesquite location where we have 1,200 kids, we had 30 in the elementary, which normally has 600, and another 30 in middle school and high school. So parents are afraid.
Wow.
So it's not that we're not open for business. We are. Parents are afraid to bring their kids based on what they're hearing and seeing as far as the COVID numbers. I will say that we know that because our numbers are so low, our chances of exposing or bringing their kids and staff, frankly, adults bringing COVID to the building have just been lessened because we have less people in the building, right? And so we will continue to have the buildings open and allow anybody who wants to bring their kids, but for right now, parents are afraid.
Right. Well, and this is an ongoing conversation that we'll have with Dr. Good, and we would love to hear if you've got questions for Dr. Good, if you've got comments about this. You've got 2 different campuses you're managing with COVID. Y'all, in your charter school world, you transition to COVID situations very well, where I think, some school districts are kind of just now getting it together. So if you have questions, and again, everybody's, people are all over the map on how they feel about COVID and kids back in school, but let's just say this, Dr. Good's been there and done that, seen it all, and has like 10 t-shirts to prove it.
And you can get a hold of her at Ask
Yes.
Dr. Be Good. You can find her on Facebook as well. You have an app and a website, right, Dr.
Yes.
Good?
Yes, the Ask Dr. Be Good website, app, and so forth. And really, the questions could be, and here's for parents of special need kids, I would really reach out to me if you are in any way wondering if your district is doing what their best by your special needs child, whether it's speech therapy, dyslexia, or learning disability, and fulfilling the IEP, Because once again, you guys have heard me say this, the federal government has cut us no slack when
Right.
it comes to fulfilling the IEPs, which is IEP individual educational plan for
right.
for each of your special needs kids. And folks, I can tell you for a fact, I know of districts who are not fulfilling those IEPs well.
And it's it's heartbreaking because the special needs kids, whereas a normal a normal semester might get all the other kids ramped up and back where they need to be. When you lose footing with a special needs child, you may never get that opportunity again.
And becoming an advocate for your child is just a normal thing for any family. But when you've got a special needs child, your need to be an advocate for them is increased. I mean, you must be more vocal, more questioning, and if you don't have the words to know, let me know. I do this for a living, sort of. I've been an advocate. I've mentored parents for many years. I've never lost one, frankly, and unfortunately, that's because I can pretty much count on schools being messy. They mean well, but they take shortcuts sometimes, and they count on parents not understanding the law and not understanding the power that they have to be an advocate, a better advocate for their own child. So reach out, folks. This is the time.
So, Dr. Good, you are also going to be featured and talked about and with coming up here real soon on 3 or 4 different mediums.
Oh, yes,
Tell everybody
that's right.
what you got going on and how they can tune in.
Well, I was asked yesterday to start the conversation with the McEwen show. That's on KERA. It's normally Sundays at 11:30.
Right.
So we haven't nailed down the pre-record date yet, but they want to know about the charter schools, and be careful what you ask for, right?
Right.
This is what you've been waiting for.
And then in February, I've been asked to be part of a panel with the Allen ISD superintendent and the provost from the Collin College Vocational School that just opened up in Allen. I don't know how many of you know that Collins College, and you probably should have.
We need to get the president on.
They're amazing.
I think the Farmersville campus has opened, and
as my friend Dr. Bob Collins will be a guest of ours probably in the February timeframe. He and I just met before Christmas, so yeah, definitely.
And so they have just opened up a vocational college in Allen, and so that I believe that Mr. King, Dr. King, will be on to talk about their part in preparing kids for the workforce. And I was talking to the Asian Chamber. I have great connections into the Asian community, and the Asian Chamber asked me to be on this panel. And so I said, well, one of the questions that I have, and I'm going to be on the panel. I'm not even the moderator, but I want to know what is Collin College Vocational School doing with kids like mine that graduate with 1 or 2 or 3 languages to further those languages while they're going through vocational school, right? Because we tend to not pay attention to those international culture opportunities when we're going through business school or vocational school, right?
Right.
And so my challenge to them is, how will you help continue the international cultural work that my school has done with our students? And she loved.
Well, and there should be a lot of support. I mean, a lot of support from the Asian community coming out to charter schools because of the fact that charter schools offer another public education opportunity.
Well, and
creates
we offer
competition.
Niches. We offer niches that others don't, and that's our thing, right? So, anyways, it's nice to know that people are reaching out and wanting to, just tap into my knowledge. When you get this old and you get this full of it, you'll want to share it. So
now,
age is a state of mind, Dr. Good. You're doing better than most of us.
Any preview for Sunday? You want to leave a little tickler for Sunday?
Well, one of the things that we're doing is we're going to talk to the person who's in charge of the virtual school. One of the things that Texas has allowed this year is to have districts be able to offer their virtual school to students all over Texas. We don't have to be within our boundaries.
Right.
And so we have a virtual school manager who has taken that from the inception to now, and talking to her about how they market this virtual school, what kind of parents they're finding, and how that's working. We have a lot of districts who do virtual school, and some of it not very well. And so being able to offer more choices, that's what we do, right? As a public school, we offer choices. And so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk also about advocacy, because guess what opens up next week, folks? Our new legislative session.
Oh, yeah.
How can we forget that? Yeah, that's
Well,
just around the corner.
And we're going to do a legislative kickoff with you next Wednesday.
Yes, we want to talk about, we're going to be having the Senate Minute with Senator Angela Paxton weekly on our show. So, and she's on the Education Committee. So we would love to hear your thoughts. And you and I have already been on some meetings where Zoom meetings where we've heard some pretty bold statements about funding staying intact. So this is where you're going to need your army of advocates to jump in there.
But I want to keep the lid on.
Yep.
I don't want to uncork this, because we could talk another 45 minutes. And so I know that you're a busy superintendent.
I am, and I'm already late for my
Right, I already figured that was the case.
We appreciate you, Dr. Good.
Hey,
we'll
Dr.
see you on
Good, thank
Sunday.
you again so much. We'll see you on Sunday, 8 o'clock, right here on
Thanks.
jpkcrew.com, JPK Broadcasting. All right. So,
always fantastic information, and so much. And
was that a lot of information?
Well, but it's all good stuff, and I love the goal setting, and I love the weekly accountability. I think that helps. I think because so many times we make, quote unquote resolutions, and then JP, by those resolutions by February, March,
January 7th.
Have gone by. It's like, wait, what was my resolution this year?
January 7th. It's over.
Yeah. So there you go. So I think that I think I like that weekly accountability and all of that kind of good stuff. I think that's really important. I think that's really
it's
important.
a party on. So hey, you have got a little green happiness sitting on your desk there. Now, I'm going to tell you.
Okay, let's talk about the unboxing.
Stan the Man says it's got to be a surprise.
What do you mean?
You can't already have it been out in the world. Like, it has to be an unboxing. It has to be like an unveiling of something new.
It has. Santa brought me. Santa brought me on brought this for me for Christmas. Because I was on the nice list, I think. I don't know how,
maybe.
but
Well, you got the foot massage.
I got the shiatsu foot massager. JP was like, he goes, "Oh, you'll never get up," and I said, "Oh, yes, I will," because I also got Baby Yoda, and I will have to follow him around. But okay, so there's this unboxing. Well, Charles, who's part of our show, does this unboxing. Did a big thing. He's like, "Oh, I can't open up this whole new server." He's building a new server for our podcast and a new computer and all this kind of stuff. And he said, "Oh, I'm not opening it up until I get to videotape an unboxing up here at VentureX." And I'm like, okay. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to wait until I get, and now I'm saying that, and I hope I've got, JP's like, look at this camera.
Over
Kathy.
there. Remember.
Honey, I'm talking to you.
I'm talking.
That's right.
Well,
Hello.
yeah, talk over there.
Hi to the crew.
Yeah, and Lathan, don't talk to me.
Hi to the crew.
Lathan, you're fired if you talk to me, Lathan. Over there.
Let's see if I'm gonna.
Did you just lick a stick?
Yeah, I had to because I need something to open this up.
Where are your keys?
Oh,
you're a good conservative. Where's your knife?
That's down. That's in the bottom of my purse. Okay, so I'm not gonna put that back in there.
Don't break a nail. Don't break a nail. Don't do it.
You know what? Lathan may have to, I got it. I've got it. I was gonna say Lathan may have to do the unboxing. So, y'all know I'm obsessed with The Mandalorian. Got my brother for Christmas and his wife. I got them a Disney Plus membership because I wanted him to watch The Mandalorian so much. Oh, Baby Yoda, I don't want to rip you. Well,
oh no.
Okay. Well,
are you ripping Baby Yoda?
No. But I want to make sure. Oh, yeah. Here's another one. Okay.
Now, is this how a box unveiling is supposed to go?
Probably not. I think the people who have like 1 million or 2 million people following them on YouTube that do what they call unbox therapy.
Yeah.
they probably have better. They're probably better at it
See,
than me.
I would have been horrible because I'd have just started ripping cardboard.
See, and I don't want to do that because there may be
See, you're
important
sweet and
information.
petite, see.
Well, because there's also pictures of Baby Yoda, and I don't want to rip those.
Oh, see, you know,
Do what?
there may be value to the box.
There you go.
Anything Star Wars,
Thank
you know,
you,
becomes
Stan.
gold.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I'd
and
rip the box.
especially now that, especially now.
Yeah,
that
I'd still rip the
Mandalorian's up
box.
and
I
running.
think those people with 1 and 2 and however many millions of viewers probably spend a little more time on preparation.
On looking at where, probably bring scissors with them.
And they become
They
aware
probably
of
bring
what the
scissors
box
with
thing
them.
But again, this is where you know that JP and I.
This is
if what
real,
you
baby.
See is what you get.
real, baby.
This is literally how it would be going at my kitchen table.
You really excel in spontaneity and lack of preparation.
Is that what we're going to say?
That
sure.
works.
Okay, so we're trying to do
So
an
this
unboxing
is now a
thing.
20-minute boxing
So
unveiling.
this is and Lathan
Kathy,
is like, he's
Lathan's
like,
asleep.
oh my goodness,
He
he's
fell
like,
asleep.
he's
Lathan,
like,
wake up.
wow.
Wake up, Lathan.
Wow. He's like, I could
Oh,
work
okay.
for 30 more minutes. Okay, so here
So
is.
while Kathy's doing that,
Oh,
did you get it?
well, he's hooked in. Oh, there's more tape. Oh my goodness.
Hey, let us
Do you have
know.
scissors handy?
I'm cutting away from you, Kathy. I'm coming
Yeah,
back to me.
go back to JP.
Yeah, go back to JP. I'm cutting away from Kathy.
Does somebody have keys that are accessible?
like the trick.
Oh, he's got a little blue frog.
You want a plastic knife?
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, here you
It's
go.
slightly serried.
You want salt and pepper for him too?
Yeah, no, because Baby Yoda would eat
That's
it.
the part.
That's the truth. Baby Yoda would eat it.
So is this how an unboxing is? I'm going to show this to my kids and be like, is this how the unboxing was supposed to go? And they're going to be like, no, Mom, you failed miserably. Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you
Yeah,
so
this
much.
could be an epic fail.
Which, you know what, would be par for the course with us.
You know,
And
they
because
say
we
you
still
learn
know what the
more
word
from your
epic
mistakes.
fail means. What are you saying, Stan?
I said they say you learn more from your mistakes.
Well, actually, we will learn that this may be how our unboxings go on this
You know,
show.
even the unicorn is shaming you. She's only looking at you with one eye.
She's like, oh no, denied. Oh, here it. Okay, I see.
Kathy. Okay, so Lathan,
Oh,
Dallas
come on,
PD.
talking. Yeah.
Dallas PD, Lathan.
And here are the instructions.
Oh yeah, we couldn't tear those
Okay.
up.
No.
Do they need
Do they
instructions
tell you how
Oh,
to-
you know me, I do.
for a stuffed animal
Oh, here it is. See,
or a stuffed baby
it
Yoda?
needs to be. These need to be untied. Okay, I'll untie these. Boy, you could not
Lethan
shop
goes,
with this.
that's Grogle.
Grogu. Grogu.
Well, she put Ghoul.
Okay, I know she meant Grogu. Okay, so we're undoing. Did anybody else get a Baby Yoda?
Only you.
Kathy,
He's like my little
can't you
one
just
did.
untwist them?
These are tied, JP. They've gone from the ones that are.
Oh,
you
they're
know,
not twisties?
It's not like twist things. These are literally like tied.
Oh.
And you know me with my fingernails.
Oh, Fred says, Kathy, hush. You're not allowed to talk about Baby Yoda and
Oh,
the
you-
Mandalorian because he's only on season 1.
Oh no, I'm not giving anything away.
So, Fred, I am.
I-
I'm going to tell you how to hang that. Oh.
No, but Fred, hurry and watch it.
No
That's right. Fred
content
said
allowed.
that. That's what Fred said on Monday. He and his wife started watching.
Fred, hurry up and watch it.
Can
'cause-
you? Can you?
oh, my goodness. We have to ask our special guest.
Well, Lathan's. He's been.
Did you have him
he's
sign
been
an
a friend
indemnity
for like
waiver or a clause and a
25
liability
years
waiver?
now, Yeah.
He said his little one got one, which means he's already had to open
No,
it.
Hey, Kathy.
no,
he's,
but there are like a million different baby
he's a
Yodas.
lawyer. If he cuts his finger, he's going to sue us. Kathy.
Yay! Okay, so look.
Hey, did you leave any pictures out there, Lathan? Because if you did, we're
wait,
all.
wait,
Lathan.
They're accessories.
Lathan, they're
Look
accessories.
and okay, and listen. Listen.
Oh, gosh.
I love him so.
Oh, I think the best part was Lathan, they're accessories. What are you doing? But,
I love him so much.
oh, my goodness. Nobody's watching the show.
Oh,
We
I
have 0
love him so
watchers.
much. But it's supposed to bring us 1 to 2 million viewers, JP.
Oh,
It's
is that what-
It's unbox therapy.
Is that what CJ said?
Well, now he didn't.
Now, what's
he's like,
that?
This is the little baby blue frog.
Oh, that he
remember?
eats?
Yes, it was in his mouth in like episode 2, I think.
So why would they give a kid something that baby Grogu's going to eat?
Well, it's just because it's cute too. Plus, he won't really. I mean, His mouth doesn't open.
Now, see, that would be something.
Some people got the Baby Yoda that like levitates or does other things.
They have a stuffed animal or toy that levitates.
Well, or that are in the little, the little stroller-like spherical half sphere.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at him. Oh, I wonder how he can hold this. What's the other accessory, Lathan? Sorry, Baby Yoda. I'm gonna have to get this.
You're gonna love it, Fred. Wait till the very last one, Fred.
Oh,
Ooh,
Fred,
buddy, you're gonna lose your mind.
As
If you're a Star Wars guy, you're gonna lose your mind.
Especially 1977 Star Wars
Oh,
people.
Kathy.
Well, I'm just saying,
Kathy.
because it's just that good. It brings you back.
Oh, okay.
The whole feel of the show, the whole season. If you're a and my brother calls us snobs. He goes, yeah, we're 1977 Star Wars snobs. That is a whole different thing. Oh, yay. Oh, look, and he has a little thingy.
I didn't know he did.
Oh, his little soup cup.
Oh.
Oh, yay.
Hey, Kathy. Looks like Baby Grogu's got a horn.
Oh, we're gonna have to. Nothing wrong with unicorn horns, but we're having to
Not
prop
out of
him up.
Grogu's head.
We're having to prop him up. We'll
Use
prop him
your,
up
yeah,
with
use
this.
your vitamin water.
Not a
Oh,
sponsor,
actually-
but they can be.
Actually, he was standing up there for a second.
Yay! So this is our first unboxing, possibly our last.
Yeah, Letha Ann says you're giving it away, by the way.
Oh, because I'm talking about what he's drinking and eating. Okay,
Yeah.
zip it
Zip
up.
it
Zip it up.
up, Catherine
Because
Ann.
it's so great. But I was just so happy to see this under the Christmas
Are we
tree.
done with this segment now?
No, almost. We're almost to the point where we talk about JP's toenails.
Uh-oh.
Lathan's early. I think Lathan comes early just to entertain himself, just to kick his day off with a smile
Well,
and a big old
I
laugh
think
at
he's
our
like-
expense.
I think Lathan just comes early because he goes, yeah, this ain't going viral. I can be casual.
It's all good.
This
It's
ain't
all
going viral. I'm good.
This is not the unboxing that gets 1 or 2 million views, but it is an unboxing of Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian, which we highly recommend.
And we do highly recommend it. It's
fun. And Fred, yeah, when you finished watching it, ping us.
Yeah,
Ping us in
it's
our
way
ping
good.
us
Yeah,
in our
'cause I wanna
group,
talk
group
about it.
text message because it's just so phenomenal.
It's
We just
entertaining.
love it. Okay, and your toenails are entertaining.
Oh, my toenails are entertaining.
I've got to say this. Okay, so
Yeah, Lathan, you missed
JP
this.
and a friend of his and his dad go all the time on a regular basis
Yep.
and get toenails, fingernails.
Sometimes head massage.
Oh, yeah, head massage. Oh, I was going to say, I don't have the picture pulled up. Might have to pull it up for Friday since we're a little crazy
Oh, you'll
on
have to,
Friday.
yeah.
I've got pictures of JP getting ear, nose, and ear
Ear
hair and nose hair waxed. Yikes! I just think about the bikini area and I'm like, I can't imagine
Okay.
that. And no, but I'm just saying from my point of view, because I've never had any kind of nose or ear. Well, thank goodness I don't have a bunch of nose or ear hair that's visible.
After the show, we'll have to have a conversation about the differences physiologically between.
Oh
men
no,
and women
no, we know,
and
we
what
know.
factors are
We're real clear on that on this show. We know the
Fran.
differences. But I'm just thinking the bikini area, it hurts so bad. I can't even imagine getting nose hairs yanked from inside of my nose.
Yeah,
but you said it was pleasant.
But it's
I have pictures. I'll find those pictures.
Yeah, it's not as sensitive as your groin.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go with you on that because that just like it makes my
was
like
waiting
my
for that.
eyes are watering while you're talking about
So-
while we're talking about getting it done. So JP,
Women say beauty is pain.
yeah, there you go. Well,
So-
and some of it is. So JP comes in, and okay, it can be 12 degrees outside, and JP's like my brother. They've got on flip flops.
Right.
So JP walks over this morning, and he's like, "Hey, take a look at this." And I'm like, "Well, of course he's got flip flops on. Plus, it's going to be like 60 today." And his toenails are painted with clear silver sparkles.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. Now his dad, it's a very sweet story. His dad always has. Is it your ring
he
finger
can show
on
it.
your left hand? It's always painted a certain like purplish, sparkly color. And that is because his granddaughter asked if he would do that. And since they don't live in the same state, that's a real sweet little thing they have in common. So that's a sweet story. But then JP, he's like, oh, I had a friend who was supposed to go with me, didn't meet us up there. So I lost control. And so JP literally has sparkles on his toenails.
and no control.
Wait,
You don't even know what that means.
He said
I'm going to take you off camera.
he lost control.
I'm going to take you off camera.
is his mic muted?
Yeah,
So
no,
anyways,
I'm muting his mic. So
okay, so we're having fun.
here's the story, right?
Okay.
So here's the story. We go get our nails done. It's always a harassment. Oh, are you going to get color today, JP? No. Oh, Johnny, you need to get sparkles on your toes. So the one time she doesn't go, the
Dun
little,
dun dun.
yeah, the little gal looks at me and goes, "Okay, John, are you going to get sparkles today?" I said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
heck
absolutely."
yeah." Said, "You know I am."
What's the brightest glittery
Yeah, right.
thing for
Hey.
2021? I'm in.
We paid $5 extra for this.
yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
But it's
Well,
worth
you
it
did.
because
You bought that time.
it was so gosh. I just literally this
Yeah.
morning I'm like, okay, I haven't even had my coffee yet, and I'm just like rolling. We had some technical issues this morning, so that kind of lifted our spirits.
Well, and Lathan's regurgitating coffee as we talk about my toenails. Don't do it, Lathan.
He's
Stay
like,
on
how
course.
long have I been friends with these people?
Stay on course.
Next time he's gonna be like, Kathy, sorry, I'm out of town for the next 6 weeks.
Hey, let's talk about being out of town. And
Oh,
Lathan, I'm going to have
yes,
you
yes,
take
yes.
and put your political hat on. We're not going to talk about.
Oh,
your,
and can we get him? Can we move
We're not
the
talking about your-
camera so we can see Lathan?
Oh, yeah, you can.
I
Hold
yeah.
on. It's not. Hey, by the way, we have a large production crew here.
Yes, well,
We've got an engineer.
which is JP,
We've got a co-host.
which is me and JP.
Then we have a host. And then we've got the computer guy talking to you. And now we've got the technical
Shambriel
guy.
right now.
Oh, hold on. Now I'm going to go move the camera.
Thank you so much.
I'm the camera guy
cameraman.
now.
So Shambriel right now is literally who's our intern who is out of town for a few days. She is literally right now going, oh, I can't leave these two children alone. Shambriel, who's like 23 and has her act more together than we do, she's like, oh, what are they doing? Like right now, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe y'all are doing this. She probably, oh, there we go. And there's Lathan. Yay. Thank you.
There's
And there he is.
the cameraman.
And his keys that he used for the unbox therapy of Baby Yoda. So there you go. Good
Well-
morning, Lathan. Aren't you so sorry? Oh wait, we need his mic on, I think.
Fred says, okay, JP's man card has been revoked. Hey, Fred, you got to be a real man, brother, to be able to withstand the toenail polish. Just saying.
Oh.
Do what, Dan?
Turn his mic up so people can hear it.
Oh, they
probably
can't hear you at all.
That's what they're saying.
There you go.
All right.
Yay!
how's that?
And
Let me know if you can hear
ladies
him.
and
Can you
gentlemen-
hear him?
Yes, I can.
Well, see,
Now-
I don't have my headphones on because
Oh,
Dad wanted
that's-
to listen to Dr. Good.
There you go.
So, there you
So
go.
now for the professional portion of the show.
Right.
Well, we started professional with Dr. Good. We went way off the rails with our first unboxing on JP, Kathy, and the crew. And now we're back to professional again. Hello, Lathan.
Okay.
How are you today?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Happy
This is
2021.
Stop. Talking about people needing to take weeks off.
Whew.
I don't want you to put your hat on with your organization yet.
Okay.
I want to throw this out there first because this hit me and hit me real bad. For over a year, John Crusoe has been talking about, I'm not going to prosecute these type of crimes. Dallas PD gets a California man to come in and be the chief of police.
Right.
All of a sudden, we've got memos going around. Now, of course, it wasn't a completed memo yet. It hadn't been developed yet. That's funny how it circulated around and got to the public somehow, right?
Right.
So Dallas PD now comes out, and Mata has, Officer Mata, who's the president of the Dallas Police Association, has said on the record that when we don't have a police force, enough police officers out there, we have to be able to give somewhere to be able to maintain some form of order, right?
Right.
Well, of course, I said that much more eloquently than he did. But how is it? How is it that it's okay that we've got crimes on the books? You're an attorney. Crimes on the books that we are not going to now protect our citizens with and allow pretty much a free-for-all in the city of Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, it's not okay. And in any way, shape, or form, I think Mata's point, I mean, he's head of the police union, right? So one of his primary goals is always going to be to make sure there are, cops hired and paid well
Right.
and treated well. So when he sees this, he looks at it and goes, well, yeah, I mean, we've been telling you for at least a couple of years now we're 500 officers short. So if we are, then, yeah, something's got to give. And so, I think his point was we're understaffed, and so do you want us to cut back on responding to homicide calls, or do you want us to cut back on responding to burglary of a vehicle call? So. I heard the thing about, well, it wasn't completed, but you're right. I mean, the memo still made it to the press.
That's
and
right.
The mayor and the city
That's
manager
right.
said they hadn't even seen it yet.
And what we're talking about, if you don't know, we're talking about the diversion of 911 calls. It's not that the police won't investigate it at some point and catch that in, right. At some point. Mm-hmm. But it's that it will no longer be treated as a 911 call. And I guess one of the things that I've got an issue with is they're calling this memo premature. The last time I checked, before you send something, walk away from it, come back to it, rewrite, edit, walk away from it, come back to it until you finally feel comfortable to send something out. How does something get circulated that's premature?
Yeah, it shouldn't be, especially when you're in the process of hiring a new chief of police.
It seems like there would be
maybe you wait until the new chief is in place and see what he thinks about
exactly
before you start.
Well, and don't usually, and you're a lawyer, and we've all been in politics forever and ever and a day. There's always a process for going through getting press releases out. I don't know. There's checks and balances.
Well, and here's one of the ones that they threw out there, right? And again, this was all over the news. I mean, I'm not sharing something that if you Google it, you're going to find it, right? But here's one of the big ones for me, and I dealt with this a lot in the fact that I did a lot of emergency protective orders. And this is one of those things that can generate very quickly a emergency protective order request, and that is interference with child custody. And how is it we do not step up, accept that as a 911 call, and respond to that? I mean, look what we had going on in Wisconsin, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's interference with child custody on the 911 call that's been released, which the officer, by the way, has been exonerated, and rightfully so based on the evidence.
Yeah, those situations can quickly escalate and turn. I mean, that should. There's no way you shouldn't treat that as an emergency. And if somebody calls the police, you need to get somebody there as quickly as possible.
Yes.
As a victim, okay, let's say that I've got my child at home.
Right.
Ex-spouse shows up, waving a gun, waving a knife, whatever, grabs the child and takes off, even though they're not supposed to have the child. They're interfering with my custody for that weekend or what have you, right? I call 911. 911 says, sorry, we'll have somebody call you back. We're not sending anybody out. My child gets injured.
Or, God forbid, killed.
Well, and I didn't want to go there. But the person.
But it's happened here in Dallas.
Right. Person comes back and injures me.
Yeah, which has happened.
At that point, am I open for civil prosecution?
Oh, good question.
Well, I think in that scenario, and it's always dangerous when you're dealing with hypotheticals, but in that scenario, if somebody was there waving a gun around, waving a knife around with a weapon, you call that in as an assault. Or a threat. That's the potential of a violent felony. And I don't think this, even though the scenario started that you brought up, started as dealing with child custody. When somebody brandishes a weapon and threatens you with it,
that's a different crime.
That I don't think that would be covered by this memo that came out. You call that into 911. There's somebody here with a gun, with a knife, threatening me. They're going to send. That's a 911 emergency. They're going to send a cop. I think what they were talking about. Dealing with custody, it still should. I don't agree with this, proposed policy. I think somebody calls the police, they ought to send the police because something that starts as an argument over custody. Hey, it's my day with the kid. No, it's not. You didn't bring him back on time last time. Quickly can escalate to something physical or violent. That's why you have the cops respond to all sorts of domestic disputes. So. If they put this policy in place and you ended up injured or your child hurt or something like that, I would suspect there would be litigation against the city. Whether or not it'd be successful,
it's a whole other ballgame.
But you're certainly opening yourself up to just a whole basket of issues that you really don't want to be dealing with if you're the city attorney, if you're the chief of police, and again, why even a policy like this? Because it is significant. Why would you even contemplate it when you don't have a chief of police in place? Why would you not just
that makes
until the new chief of police
absolutely
You
no
wait
sense.
for your. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it makes no
consult with the new
sense.
chief of police?
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
that's a pretty big policy decision that probably, honestly, should be voted on by the city
Right.
council and the mayor.
Right.
Well, and that memo should have stayed on whoever's desk. That memo
Absolutely.
left a desk.
Yeah.
Give me a break here, and was circulated. This is what
how
Governor
did
Abbott
that
had
happen?
to say. Governor Abbott said, "We won't allow this California-style lawlessness in Texas. We will prioritize supporting, not defunding, our police force. The state of Texas will begin work this month to fix this. Everyone in our state deserves to be safe from crime. We will restore law and order in Texas." You know, I've got some concerns with that, right? I mean, I'm glad Governor Abbott's come out on Twitter. He's issued that statement. But again, I don't know if I want my state to overreach into my city.
Well, to your local government.
Right, because
yeah.
what goes on in Austin or what may go on in Amarillo is not what's going on in Plano or Frisco or Dallas.
Right. Well, and again, that's why it is so important. And again, this May, we have local school board and city council elections. We're sitting here talking to somebody who was a city councilman, Lathan was himself. The city council picture your new police chief. I mean, you have a big, that's a big part of what you do. You protect, or you pick those who protect and serve us. So get out. If this election cycle has not taught us anything, my goodness, get out and vote, especially in those local races, because those people are choosing what happens with your tax dollars, with your police officers or lack thereof, with your teachers, and with schools, and with school books, and with curriculum or lack thereof. And boy howdy, if you don't get out and vote, you have not earned your right to gripe.
Well, and absolutely, that's the absolute truth. We got some response coming in from the crew. Dallas PD is now Callis PD since they hired a Cali police chief. Michelle says, "I have an RO in place and called it in for a violation of the RO, and the police station told me they would not respond unless it was a protective order. So we got no response on a restraining order. Was very frustrated." Now,
Then what's a restraining order for?
now understand though, and Lathan and I can probably enlighten just a little bit on this.
Right.
Restraining orders are going to be more along the lines of civil, right? And you're going to look for enforcement in the court. So like the very next day, you want a motion to enforce the RO, motion for contempt, and you have to go along those lines more so. Now, if there's, and again, this is how Lathan said it earlier, if someone's brandishing a knife or a gun, that's a whole different crime,
Right.
and someone needs to respond. So you want to expand on that, Lathan, because again, protective order is different than a restraining order.
Yeah, I mean, it basically what it comes down to is the difference between criminal courts and civil courts. And the way I always explain it, the easiest way for me to understand it is if you look at a criminal case, look at the way it's titled, it's styled. It's the state versus Smith, right?
Right.
Texas versus Jones, or whatever.
Right.
In a civil case, it's Smith versus Jones,
Right.
So the criminal courts are really designed to protect civil society at large, all of us. That's why it's the state versus the defendant. It's not the victim versus the defendant. Even though you're delivering justice for that victim, really what it is about is, our state as a whole. We will not allow this in the state of Texas. So it's state versus Jones. The civil court is where you individually are made whole by the person who wronged you. And so that's why those cases, whatever they may be, whether it's a custody dispute or a contract dispute in business, those cases, when you see them, it's Smith versus Jones. It's the person versus the person.
That's how a restraining order comes out.
Exactly, because that's
Yep.
an interaction between two people, or a restriction on interaction between two people. And so that's going to be in the civil court. Now, protective order is more along the lines of the criminal justice system, because it is there has been at least probably some indication that there was the threat, or even maybe there was physical violence against somebody, or the threat of it.
And
which
normally
in
it's
and of
family
itself
violence.
is a criminal.
Protective order is going to be
criminalized.
family violence.
Right.
And family violence can extend to girlfriend, boyfriend.
Sure.
It could be any kind of really relational,
Any kind of relationship
Yeah.
type, not
type
necessarily
scenario.
married folks kind
Correct.
of a thing. Exactly.
And so,
well, that's how you get into the issue. Would that be like a stalker?
Yes,
Is
absolutely.
that falls under
Absolutely.
that? Okay, but still, it's one of those things. When you have some type of an order as Joe Citizen, and I get it. You're a retired judge, JP. You're a longtime attorney. As a Joe Citizen, I'm just sitting here thinking, gosh, if I had an RO or restraining order, I would when I called 911, I would expect action.
Well, and here's the downside too, and Lathan, you can talk a little bit about this as well, is that in a restraining order environment, the problem is that it takes generally an attorney to file that motion for contempt, file that
Right.
motion for violation of the RO, to get a hearing in, which means that costs
Money. Right.
So, and that stuff's not free. Whereas in a family violence situation, protective order, the
Somebody
state
has
is-
intervened
well,
and stepped in at the state. Yeah.
well, the state's taking
Yeah.
care of it.
Right.
Right,
Right.
Lathan?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're gonna be in civil court. You're gonna, probably need an attorney, and most of them don't work for free.
Right.
No.
Occasionally, you'll get somebody to help you out pro bono.
But
The
not.
people
I
I
mean,
work
but
for,
it's
we work for
tough.
free.
Right,
If we're
right.
handling
But yours is a
that's
different.
a
Yours is
constitutional law
yeah,
issue.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a different situation.
Well-
And here's real quick, JP. This is crazy. We're January of 2021. The three of us who have been friends for a long time, have worked together in different capacities. I cannot believe that it's come to a conversation where we're actually literally having a conversation over which 911 calls are a priority when it comes to the police.
Well, stolen
This is
cars. I mean,
but again, this is a
it's bad
sad
news.
state of affairs that, I was sideswiped, back in, what was that, early December, and the individual ran up to my car on the surface road. It was kind of a little bit of, I was very unnerved. I knew the guy was going to slam into me. I wouldn't get out of my car until the cops came. And Allen Police Department, God love y'all, literally, I had officers in that parking lot immediately that had been in the vicinity. Now, would I have wanted that to take precedence over a child being harmed or a woman being raped or a 7-Eleven being held up at gunpoint? No, obviously not. But again, when you call 911, you have this understanding, or at least at our age, we've grown up thinking if you call 911, that's serious, that will be handled in a serious manner. And now we're having discussions intellectually about, well, it's a 911 call, but is it really a 911? And what? That's a sad state of affairs.
Yes, and it's policy decisions have consequences. Elections have consequences.
Yes.
You need to fully fund an adequate police force to be able to respond
Amen.
to all of the calls that come into 911. Lots of people don't really understand when to call 911 and when not to. I mean, there are people that do call 911.
My cat's, in the tree,
Exactly.
right.
But it's one of the fundamental duties of government.
Yes.
right?
To keep
Protect
us safe.
the God-given rights of the people.
Yes.
And the very first one is life.
Right.
Okay. So life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Right.
Right.
Physical safety, providing for the safety of the common protection, is a fundamental duty of government, and that what that looks like is a police force at the local level.
Right.
And so your elected officials at the local level are responsible for that, and you need to hold them responsible for that. If there aren't enough police to answer all the calls that are coming in 911, then you need to hire more police. And if that means
Amen.
if that means you got to cut back somewhere else in the budget,
Then
then
so
you do
be
so.
it.
well, and we've discussed
Yeah.
how poorly Dallas PD has been staffed, and how, I mean, we're talking at one point, Kathy and I were talking numbers like they only had like 53% of staffing.
Oh, there have been
filled.
just horrific stats.
That's why
out there.
DPS was brought in last
Right.
year, because murders
Right.
were just out of control.
Right.
I mean, we'd already hit over 100 murders in 4 months of the new year, and it wasn't slowing down.
And that was
until-
during like shelter in place time and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, it's not slowing down.
well, until we brought in.
Right.
That was the summer before.
oh,
And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was the
Yep.
summer before,
Yep.
and we brought DPS in, and it got under control. So the question of, well, do the police really help or not? Well, yeah, they did, because violent crimes
Absolutely.
went down sharply. So, but you made a point, and I want to jump off of this now, which is the fundamental rights that we have as citizens the Constitution and where it lies and what it provides for us as citizens, there's something big happening today in Washington, D.C. A lot is going on. Representative Cotton has taken a hit. I watched it on social media where he has come out and he has said, I will not object to Joe Biden, his electoral college votes. I'm not going to do it. And he gave a ton of constitutional reasoning. And then, of course, people just started in, some supportive, a lot not. What should we expect from today? Should we just be hearing a lot of rhetoric and a lot of screaming and yelling, or is there really something? Because I think a lot of Americans believe there's going to be something substantive that comes out of this. And is there?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
There's the short answer. No,
I
there's
love the
not.
straight answer.
well,
It
Yeah.
is going to be-
and United States Senator Ted Cruz is the one who has taken the lead on this, and majority of all of our friends, I'm good for him. Go Ted Cruz, go.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be. I should have looked it up while we were doing the unboxing.
So sorry.
There's a
Baby Yoda says
Shakespeare quote
thanks.
that I was trying to call to mind about life. The player struts and fritzes hour upon the stage, and then is heard from no more. It is full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That's what you're going to see in D.C. today. There's going to be a lot of objecting and speech making and debate and voting, and Joe Biden will be certified as the next president of the United States. It's up to the individual senators what they feel like their obligation under the Constitution is, and this is a complicated scenario. It's not a unique scenario. It's not the first time something like this has happened.
In fact,
I'm
Democrats
glad-
have done it.
Yeah, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned that. Well, but heck, back when it was George Bush days, they did that.
Right. So
it's not
there-
unprecedented.
No, it's not. And there's, the Constitution lays out kind of a very vague process, and then you have the Electoral Procedures Act of, I think it's 1887 or something like that,
Right.
kind of gets more down into the details. So what they'll do, the vice president reads the votes that come in from the states. The senators have an opportunity to object if one of them does. And there's also a House member that objects, and there's going to be, I think, close to 100 that are going to.
Correct.
Right.
Then they basically retire to their separate chambers, and they debate for 2 hours, and then they vote on whether or not to accept that electoral vote that has been submitted, or to basically kind of sustain the objection and say, no, this guy's right, and we need to certify these electors. But it's a vote. You got to have a majority of the House and the Senate, which the Republicans don't.
Right.
So I like Senator Cotton. I like Senator Cruz. I agree with them both most of the time. I think this is one of those scenarios where their responsibility as a U.S. Senator they take very seriously, and they're both constitutional scholars,
Yes.
very, very sharp guys, and they have arrived at different conclusions. Really, at the end of the day, it's up to them. How they're the ones who are in that office. They got to lay their head on the pillow at night and look themselves in the mirror in the morning, and how they choose to do that. They've chosen two different alternatives. Ultimately, the people in their states, if it's really that is the issue for you, then those guys will be up for re-election again sometime, and you can express it at
A
the
couple of
ballot
them,
box.
and we'll have primaries.
Yeah.
This spring, year from now.
Right.
Well, Senator Cruz made a point in one of the press conferences that this is what Texans want. Texans believe that this election was fraudulent. They believe that this election was somehow swayed by either the Russian or Chinese government. That conversation has been out there.
Well, Dominion's a part of
Well,
it,
the
poll
machines in Germany, the
watchers,
machines coming out
yeah.
of South America. And so Senator Cruz says this is what Texans want, and I represent Texans. And so I think to some extent, Ted Cruz has hit it on the head, that's Texans come first.
Have y'all seen on Facebook how many of our friends are in D.C. right now?
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, or have
Huge
been there for a
rally.
few days. I mean,
Huge
we're
rally.
talking tens of thousands of people will be there today, I would imagine.
But, it's kind of like the Louis Gohmert case that was filed here in Texas, dismissed by the judge. And again, from a legal standpoint, Lathan, I looked at it. I've read the brief on it. I don't see where Louis Gohmert had any standing. And I agree with the judge's decision ultimately.
Yeah, and I think all of those, this point, I think all of them have either been dismissed or ruled upon. And we talked about this before. I think maybe the last time I was here last year. Really, the time for these lawsuits was before the first vote was ever cast.
Right.
That's the problem. That you're not judges. Article 3 judges, I mean, appointed for life, federal judiciary, are very, very hesitant to use that role to, in their mind, intervene into an election, any election, let alone the presidential election. And and I agree. I mean, lots of people raised issues about all of these changes to the voting process in states under the guise of, well, there's COVID, and so we have to do things differently. Okay, that was the time to file the lawsuit to stop that. When all of these changes to, well, we're just going to allow mail-in ballots for, we're just going to send out ballots.
We have drop-off places everywhere. It's all good.
All of those things.
Yeah.
In every instance, where Pennsylvania, Georgia, all of these states that are in question, in none of those states were those decisions made by the state legislatures, which is where the Constitution says
that
the
those
electoral
decisions are
process
made. Yes.
is made by the state
Yes.
legislature. That was the time to challenge those things. When those changes were being announced, that was when either those state legislators should have stood up and either gone to court or made the case that you can't do that. That's our role if there's going to be a change to the way we choose our presidential electors.
Right.
That was the point to do that before the first vote was cast. One of the cases that made it all the way to the Supreme Court before Barrett was sworn in, when there was an 8-member court, they voted not to take it. Roberts voted with the 4 liberals not to take it. And Alito dissented from that and said, we should take this now before the votes are cast.
Right.
Because this issue isn't going away, and if it comes back, it's going to be after all these votes have been cast and counted, and then what are you
And
gonna
then
do?
you're going to have
Yeah,
Americans who
that's-
feel disenfranchised.
Yeah, that's way
and
bad.
that's not
Exactly.
okay.
Well, you
I think
you
that's
send
why,
this country into chaos
which
Right.
if you do that.
which is where we are.
Yeah.
Which is where we are.
Well, we're definitely at high tension, that's for sure.
And it is, but there's also a part of me that just wants everybody to just kind of keep some perspective, right? I mean, we have the oldest written constitution in the world. We're a very young nation, but we have the oldest written constitution in the world.
Right.
And it has withstood lots and lots and lots of scoundrels and idiots elected by us. Okay,
Right.
we put them there. Yes, we put them there.
Right.
Okay, and it will survive, and the country will go on. We have had, great presidents and terrible presidents. We have had,
Great houses of
Great-
Congress,
exactly.
horrific
And-
houses
and
of
terrible
Congress. Right.
and we're still here.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the elections don't have consequences or that policies don't impact our lives. Yes, they
They
will.
do.
Okay, they will. But you will get through it. I had to have this conversation with my 16-year-old because she was just beside herself on election night, and I was like, "Look, I understand how you feel. When I was 16, Bill Clinton was sworn in as president of the United States, and I thought the world was over.
Right. Right.
Now I look back at the Clinton years,
Oh gosh.
and I'm like,
oh.
policy-wise, that really ended up not being that bad.
Well,
Not comparatively
well,
speaking.
compare,
Because
compared
look-
to socialism that's being
Well,
shoved
look
down
what
our throat
happened.
right
I mean,
now.
yeah, he got elected, and 2 years later, Newt Gingrich and the Republicans took over the House for the first time in I don't know,
Forever
40,
and a
50
day,
years.
yeah, yes,
Passed
yeah.
the contract with America, and Clinton signed, I think, 8 or 9 items of it into law.
That's correct.
Right, because he is a finger to the wind politician.
Right.
He is not as principled as, say, his wife was, who was really
I was
the
going
bigger
to say,
threat.
yeah, you're talking two
Yeah.
different.
He
We're talking
just
Bill
signed
Clinton,
all
not
that
Hillary
stuff.
Clinton. Yeah.
He signed most of that stuff and took credit for it and got reelected. Well,
Right.
the
Because it was a
policy
popular
got
thing to
put in
do.
place, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Now, at the time, yeah, I was 16. Bill Clinton wins, and I think,
That's
the
it.
world is, say goodbye to America. And my dad was the one saying, "Hey, it's going to be okay," right? Now
So
I'm
now
having
you're-
to do that
now
with
you're-
my
now
daughter.
you're the voice
saying,
of
"Hey, you know
reason."
what? It's going to be okay." Like, I thought this guy was the worst possible person we could elect as president. It's like Murphy's Law. No, it can always get worse.
Right. Absolutely.
And it did.
Absolutely.
Right?
Ooh,
You look
yes.
at Clinton, at the policy coming out of the Clinton era, and you look at it and compare it to, 8 years of Obama, Biden.
Oh,
and
my
now,
goodness. And now
potentially
potentially,
4
yeah.
years
Well,
of
and,
Biden
you've
Harris.
got people like
Not that
Winston
bad.
Churchill, Benjamin Franklin, that have said that democracy is the worst form of all government.
Democracy is 2 wolves and a lamb voting on what's for supper.
And then, and they follow up quickly with until compared with all others.
Yeah.
And so we are going to
Exactly,
survive.
exactly.
Now, the key is going to be having fun as a media person getting to hammer Nancy Pelosi and the AOC troop of idiots. I am so looking forward to that as a media person.
JP as JP the entertainer will have so much fun with this. It's not even funny. You know, it's interesting. Some of the conversations that I've had with family and with friends over the last, even just 24 hours. One of the things I said was, I think at the end of the day, okay, so you go through this, and you know what? God bless Ted Cruz. Mwah. I'm glad he's standing up for we the people. Again, this is what is so great about America. We have freedom of speech. Thank you to my friends and our friends and everybody who's there in D.C. cheering them on, people who are... Tons of folks are writing to their congressmen. And you know what? Then keep that up. Not just on this issue, doggone it. There's a lot of other issues that we just let, whatever, it's all good. Call your congressman anytime there's a significant issue that means something to you, and call them and get in touch with them. Let them hear from you. Vote in your local elections. But I said, here's something that I know God's got a plan. My Christian faith gives me the sense of peace, so I can at least put my pillow on my head at the end of the night and rest. Very thankful that we have Amy Coney Barrett. Just love her. Thrilled that she's there as a pro-life person. But what I was trying to tell friends and family was, hey, here's the thing. Everybody's all excited. Oh, thank goodness, Trump will be gone, and this, that, and the other. They are going to wish that President Trump was still President Trump, because you think he's going away? No, he's not. And when he is no longer president and the gloves are off, now that's the party I want to see.
It could be extremely entertaining.
Oh, I mean, he could start his own network.
Yeah.
He could have literally he could have Trump information and Trump speakers and himself on TV 24/7, busting Nancy Pelosi's chops, busting Biden's chops, busting Harris's chops, busting the squad's chops. And how much fun would that be? I'll pay for that channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's always, it's like, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction, right? So, yeah, he's going to be out of office, but he's not going anywhere.
Oh, goodness, no.
It will be interesting to see now, how Twitter treats his account, since he's no longer, the president. But
the gloves are off.
I think another thing that... to watch in the next 4 years, depending on how the two Senate races end up in Georgia.
Which, at this point, some are calling it both for the Democrats, some are calling it for in Loeffler's race for the Dem,
I think the Georgia Secretary of State hopefully learned his lesson and will audit, not just...
Oh, my goodness.
Not just do a recount, but actually audit these ballots.
Yes.
And if so, if that ends up as a split, 1-1, and it's, a very slim majority, or if the Dems win both of them and you got Harris as the tiebreaker, Joe Manchin becomes the most powerful man in the country.
Yep.
Because
the senator from West Virginia, the Democrat senator from West Virginia, who has already said he will not support court packing, he will not support abolishing the filibuster, he will not support statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yep.
Okay. If you live in West Virginia or you got friends in West Virginia, now's the time to start contacting Mr. Manchin and say, we're with you, hold firm.
Right. Stand straight.
Absolutely.
He will be the most powerful man in the country, because
yes, he will.
If he goes with them, they've got the votes. If he
goes
off,
against
they don't.
them, you got it.
Right.
And he will, if he doesn't go with them, he will likely get a primary opponent.
Yes.
I suspect.
Yeah.
Or who knows? He may eventually switch parties. But
and there has been talk, and I know there have been a group of Texans that have been calling, suggesting he do that and asking him, saying they would support him and come down if when he runs again for re-election.
But he's going to be the man to watch
right.
for the next 4 years in the Senate, or whenever he's up for re-election. That may be only 2 more years. I haven't looked to see when he's back up again.
Well, here's what I'd like to do, Lathan. If we can get you back next Wednesday and talk a little religious liberty and freedom and what's going on in the Supreme Court.
Your actual real job.
Didn't have time today because there's so much going on in
Yeah.
the House and in the Senate today.
I'll just come in a little bit early.
They come a little bit. Well,
And that way we can just
We won't be
discuss
opening toys next Wednesday.
male grooming habits and all those other things. Prior to, I'll just come in
We
for
love
an
you,
hour and
Lathan.
we'll just talk about whatever y'all want to talk about, and then we'll get into
And then we'll
religious
talk
liberty
about
at
what you
some
do
point.
for a living, yes. And you're with First Liberty. And how can people donate? Because, again, you mentioned something so crucial. It's free. It's a free service through y'all because y'all are standing up for religious liberty in the Constitution.
Right.
How can they donate?
Yeah, firstliberty.org, right at the top of the page. Two buttons. One says donate. One says get legal help. If you need our help, defend your religious liberty. Fill out that form. Help us. Then,
Oh, that's kind of loud. I can't even hear him talking out.
Yeah, you say that, but mine's really not.
Thank you, Stan. There you go.
I'm glad you can. I can't hear it hardly.
Thank y'all so much. We'll see
Maybe
you.
it was all the artillery I had in the war.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Latham, for coming in. Thank you, Dr. Good, for being on. Thank y'all for letting me unbox Baby Yoda.
Well, you're
here
thanking them. I
live.
don't think they had a choice.
Well, I know, but thank you for sticking with us. We still had a few
And
viewers.
about my toes.
Which, that's good times, though.
Yeah, good
That's
times.
always good times. Love
send
y'all.
it-
God bless
To
you.
send this out real quick, Fred says, I wonder what all the late shows material will be now that Trump may not be
Yep.
in office. Boy,
Good
isn't
point.
that the truth?
A whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of something. Now
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a whole lot of something. No, Lord knows what it's
Because
going
we're
to be.
going to talk about it here at JP, Kathy, and the crew.
We are.
Love
Lathan,
y'all.
thank you again. We'll see you
Thanks,
next
Lathan.
Wednesday for sure. All
God
right.
bless
Have a
y'all.
blessed day. See you Friday. We are out of control.